Now suppose we have a charge density over a line, and this line extends to infinity, and suppose the charge density is plus, and we call this lambda as the line charge density, and we are curious about the strength of the electric field around this line. So let's choose a point, and we want to find the strength of the electric field at that point, and we will now use the Gauss's law to calculate the electric field, not the Coulomb's law, because we have a kind of symmetry in the problem. And as you see here, you choose this point which is a distance r, perpendicular distance r to the charge distribution. If you will pick up this point like around here, or the top surface which has the same distance, it will not make any difference. So wherever you go parallel to the line, the charge density along this line, the electric field exactly would look like the same. So this imposes some kind of symmetry, and this time we have to choose a Gaussian surface which reflects this symmetry of the problem, and the best choice for this is to choose a box again, but this time the box is a cylinder, and the cylinder, the axis of the cylinder contains the charge distribution. So wherever you go on this hypothetical surface, the Gaussian surface, on the side surface, the strength of the electric field will exactly be the same. So let's give some dimensions to this surface. Let's take the height of the cylinder as d, and the next thing is to do, of course, we will calculate the flux, the electric flux, through the surface of this pillbox, cylindrical pillbox. Okay. So to find this, again, we have to determine the area vector at every point of this surface. And for example, if you have chosen the small area right on the side surface of the cylinder, and this area vector, of course, will be radially outward. So when you think that the electric field through this all the small areas, dAs, you will recognize that the electric field also should be in the same direction, because the electric field is always away from the charge, away from the positive charge, and you easily recognize that the electric field at every point of the side surface of the cylinder, the electric field and the area vector is always lined up, and it's parallel to each other. Alright. What about the bottom and top surfaces of the cylinder? Of course, we need to take these surfaces into account to calculate the flux, because in every Gaussian surface is a closed surface, so we have to consider all the surfaces of this pillbox. Well, as you recognize easily that the area vector on the top surface is in the upward direction, and this similarly the area vector at every point on the down surface will be in the downward direction, and the electric field at these points, at every point on the top and bottom surfaces, will be perpendicular to the area vectors. So you can easily now say that the flux, electric flux through the top and bottom surfaces will be zero. So the only non-zero part contribution will come from the side surface. Okay, let's call this flux phi 1, and the top is phi 2 and the bottom is phi 3. So phi 2 and phi 3 is 0 because of the perpendicular directions of electric fields and the area vectors. And what about the flux through the side surface? So the expression for this is E times A, because at every point the electric field and the area vectors are parallel to each other, so this dot product is always the constant. So you can immediately write down, instead of an integral, write down this expression for the flux, the strength of the electric field times the total side area of the cylinder. Okay. So next, you can explicitly write down this side area in terms of the distance to the point in question, which will be the radius of the top and bottom surfaces. And the side surface is nothing but the length of the side surface, which is just the circumference of one of the top or bottom surfaces, times the height. And so this is this simple expression for the area of the side area of the cylinder. Next, we will apply the Gauss's law, since we already determined what the flux is, and the Gauss's law says this flux must be equal to the charge inside divided by epsilon 0. So the next question is, what is the charge which is located inside this Gaussian pillbox? So the total charge inside this Gaussian pillbox will be calculated by multiplying the charge density with the length of the line charge, which is located just inside this Gaussian pillbox. So it's again easy. It is just lambda times d, because the length which is located inside is just d, and epsilon 0. So the next thing is to equate these expressions to each other to find an expression for the electric field, and you can easily solve for E, having the electric field as the line charge density divided by 2 pi times epsilon 0 times r, which is the perpendicular distance of the charge density to the point in question. So as you see, when you go away from the source, the line charge, the electric field drops as 1 over r. And this is 1 over r expression. Remember, the electric field was dropping as 1 over r squared for point charges, but it is not the same for a line charge. It is different. And if you compare this to the planar symmetry, as you remember, the electric field was not is not depending on the distance from the surface, and it's always constant, but it drops as 1 over r for a line charge, and it drops as 1 over r squared for a spherically symmetric charge or point charge. Alright, let's draw the electric field strength with respect to the distance r, and it is nothing but this 1 over r curve. As you go away from the origin or the line charge, the electric field will decay as 1 over r.